Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for March 31, 2023, the Binance CCO edition. There is often a debate about whether or not there should be a framework for CCO liability. I advocate that the current framework is sufficient. And now we've had a CFTC action where a CCO is directly alleged to have directly been complicit in underlying criminal activity, and that is in the case of Binance Holdings, where the chief compliance officer faces civil charges of undermining the company's compliance program and conducting activities to evade rules designed to prevent illicit financial activity, according to the CFTC, that's the Commodities Future Trading Commission. If these allegations are found to be correct or are sustained at trial, it certainly would be a very, very strong reason not to change the framework for CCO liability, because if we have a CCO doing the things that the CFTC charges, that's a clear violation of law and should be prosecuted. Interestingly, Binance refused to provide the residential address to the CFTC so that the person could be served. So looks like Binance is going to fight this tooth and nail. It's going to be very interesting to see how this Chinese company fares. Next up, from the Financial Times, Ecuador's president will face corruption, or rather impeachment trial over corruption charges from the Ecuadorian Senate. The Ecuadorian High Court ruled that the Supreme Court ruled he could be tried by legislatures on a charge of corruption, allowing corruption in government. So another black eye for Ecuador. The world's largest construction project will begin at some point when the Russian war with Ukraine ends, and that construction project will be the rebuilding of Ukraine. Reuters reports that Western allies can help Ukraine in its mounting crackdown on bribery, graft, and corruption by extraditing more people who are under investigation. That fight against sleaze, bribery, and corruption is going to be huge, as there was systematic corruption, certainly facilitated by the Trump administration. And our final story comes to us from the New York Times, and it's about the 2030 Winter Olympics, which the country of Japan wants to host at Sapporo, but there's fears around the corruption that occurred in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So corruption still corrupts. It's the end of the month and the weekend. Have a great weekend. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.